Good evening. Welcome to World News. I am Jessica Magaji Joseph. First, the headlines. Federal government invites Sanu Nasu for talks about the ongoing strike. Mexico Supreme Court judges resign after judicial reforms. Macron to host Ukraine Zelensky. And on sport, West Ham plots Lookman move. Now the news in detail. The Nigerian government has announced a 17.9 million euro and German government-funded off-grid electricity project to tackle the blackout. The Permanent Secretary Ministry of Power, Mahamudu Maman, made these announcements in the third phase of the Nigerian Energy Support Program event on Thursday. The event was organized by the Nigerian government, EU, and other stakeholders in Abuja. In his remarks, Maman said the project will help close the gap of 100 million Nigerians not having access to electricity. According to him, renewable is significant in addressing the challenges of providing electricity for the unserved rural communities in Nigeria. The Joint Action Committee of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities will meet with the federal government today to discuss the ongoing strike. SANU Vice President Abdulsubor Salam confirmed to newsmen on social media on Thursday morning that the union received an official invitation from the federal government on Wednesday. The unions under JSC began an indefinite strike on Monday due to 4 months of unpaid salaries, leading to a shutdown of universities' activities nationwide. A panel set up by the Ministry of Environment to review the draft of the Environmental and Social Impacts Assessment Report of the Federal Ministry of Works for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project has called for its review. This resolution was made after the panel headed by Oladapo Afolabi identified grey areas in the draft during a stakeholders workshop held in Lagos on Tuesday. Reports stated that the homeowners and residents of the Onku Aja community in the Gbeju-Lekki local government area of Lagos State rejected the report, citing its failure to adequately protect residents amid the construction of coastal highway. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Senegal's president fights for mandate in parliamentary race with fireworks displays, packed rallies, and town-to-town caravans. Senegalese political parties are wooing voters in a parliamentary race that will decide the extent to which the new president will be able to implement his agenda. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has been under pressure to make good on promises to crack down on corruption and improve livelihoods that helped sweep him to power in April, following a landslide election victory the previous month. Faye has accused lawmakers in the opposition-led National Assembly of refusing to engage in meaningful talks on the budget and other proposals and dissolve parliament last month, paving the way for the legislative election on November 17th. African asylum seekers are freed ahead of U.S. election. For the growing number of African asylum seekers and economic migrants in the U.S., the upcoming presidential election could reshape their entire future. Kaduli, a Congolese doctor, says that in 2014, he fled Eastern DR Congo, which has been racked by conflict for almost 3 decades after being kidnapped and tortured. Uwais Kaduli, says he fled his country after being kidnapped and tortured. He had been working as a doctor at a hospital in Kalungi town and saw the effect of the conflict up close. Kaduli says that horrified at the civilian casualties, he and many of his colleagues, including Nobel Peace Prize winner Denis Mukwege, participated in protests against the killings and rapes by armed groups, criticizing then-President Joseph Kabila's government for its failure to guarantee the safety of people. We move to other parts of the world after this break. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Hillstv, Polka.
Welcome back. A majority of Mexico Supreme Court judges have submitted their resignations and declined to stand for election on the controversial judicial reforms, the court said on Wednesday. In a move that has sparked opposition street protests and diplomatic tensions, Mexico is said to become the world's only country to allow voters to choose all judges at every level starting next year. 8 of 11 Supreme Court justices, including President Norma Pina, decided not to seek election in June 2025, a statement said, adding that most of the resignations would take effect next August. The announcement came as the Supreme Court prepares to consider a proposal to invalidate the election of judges and magistrates. President Claudia Sheinbaum, however, has said that the court lacks the authority to reverse a constitutional reform approved by Congress. A senior Hamas official said on Thursday that the group rejects any proposal for a temporary halt to more than a year of fighting in Gaza and insists on a lasting ceasefire. Mediators seeking to broker a Gaza ceasefire are expected to propose a truce or less than a month to Hamas, reports stated. Meetings between Mossad head David Bani, CIA Director Bill Burns, and Qatar's Prime Minister in Doha, which concluded on Monday, discussed proposing a short-term truce of less than a month. The source said on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the talks. The proposal involves exchanging Israeli hostages for Palestinians in Israeli prisons and increasing aid to Gaza, the source added. American airstrikes killed up to 35 Islamic State group members in Syria earlier this week, the U.S. military said on Wednesday. It is the latest in a series of operations in recent months by U.S. and local forces in Iraq and Syria against the jihadists who once held swaths of territory in both countries. U.S. and Iraqi forces conducted a joint raid last week that Baghdad said left 9 jihadists dead, among them the top IS leader in the country. And at the end of August, a joint operation by U.S. and Iraqi forces killed 14 IS fighters in Iraq's western desert, among them 4 of the group's leaders, reports said. The U.S. military has around 900 troops in Syria and 2,500 in Iraq as part of the international anti-IS coalition that was established in 2014 to help combat the jihadists. Up next is business news. Please stay with us. Welcome back. And now in business news, port calls by container ships rose by 20% in Nigeria and other African countries between the first quarter of 2018 and 2023, according to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. UN Trade and Development, in its 2024 review of maritime transport, signed by its Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan, stated that tanker calls grew by 38%, record-breaking increases for the continent during the period under review. It urged the continent to increase investment in port infrastructure to tackle port congestion and boost trade. UN Trade and Development added that port investment would also boost climate resilience and support seamless cargo movement. South Africa's rand slipped in early trade on Thursday ahead of September producer inflation and trade balance data, while investors awaited the finance minister's answers to lawmakers' questions on his midterm budget. The dollar last traded about 0.1% weaker against the basket of currencies. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana will respond to lawmakers' questions later today after his medium-term budget policy statement on Wednesday showed that wider budget deficits and higher debts are expected over the next 3 years. Britain's economy will grow faster than forecast this year and next, the country's finance minister, Rachel Reeves, announced on Wednesday as she delivered her median budget. The nation's gross domestic product will expand 1.1% in 2024 and by 2.0% next year, above estimate given in March by the Office for Budget Responsibility, Britain's fiscal watchdog. Reeves gave her update to Parliament alongside the new Labour government tax and spending plans following its landslide election victory in July, ending 14 years of rule by the Conservatives. Reeves insisted that the only way to drive economic growth is to invest. The OBR earlier this year predicted that the UK economy will grow 0.8% in 2024 and by 1.9% in 2025. Since then, Britain has benefited from the country's annual inflation rate dropping to under the Bank of England's 2.0% target, easing the cost of living crisis. Still to come is sport news. Please stay with us.
This is